U.S. Army veteran Maribel Ramos disappeared in the spring of 2013. She seemed to have vanished into thin air. No one knew where she was or what had happened to her. Hundreds of people searched for Maribel. Tragically, the 36-year-old woman was later found dead. Because of one crucial mistake made by the perpetrator, the case was eventually solved. Maribel Ramos was born in Mexico in 1976. In 1978, her family moved to the United States. From childhood, Maribel had a strong personality and was often the center of attention. Her father left the family, and her mother had to work 2 jobs. As the oldest daughter, Maribel helped raise her younger siblings. Ever since she was young, she dreamed of becoming rich, living a good life, and vacationing at expensive resorts. She wanted to escape the poverty she had known for years at any cost. She dreamed of a large, spacious house and a luxury car. Maribel was willing to work hard to achieve all of it. While she was still in school, Maribel decided that she wanted a future in law enforcement. At the age of 18, she started working as a security guard at a local supermarket. She knew that if she wanted to become a police officer, she would need to study hard. She also needed money, so she joined the military. In August 2001, she became a private first class. Those were not peaceful years. She took part in combat operations in Iraq, where she was later promoted to sergeant. When her tour of duty ended, she signed a new contract. Maribel served in the Army for years, and afterward she enrolled in criminal justice studies at California State University, Fullerton. At the same time, she worked while attending college. 8 years of service in the U.S. Army left their mark. Maribel suffered from post-traumatic stress disorder and regularly visited a psychologist. Her studies and her new job helped distract her from dark thoughts. Maribel rented a 2-bedroom apartment in a small condominium complex in Orange, California, and she got a dog. Sadly, her mother died in 2009, and the family was devastated by the loss. 2 years later, Maribel began experiencing financial difficulties. She decided to look for someone willing to move in with her. Her ad was answered by a man who was 18 years older than she was. Kwang K.C. Joy, a chemist, moved from Tennessee to California. Because his name was difficult for some people to pronounce, he asked to be called simply Casey or KC. In the fall of 2011, he rented a room in Maribel's apartment and paid monthly rent. The new roommates quickly found common ground, became friends, and grew close, although both denied being in a romantic relationship. Casey was a pronounced introvert. He rarely left the house and had difficulty making new friends. Maribel often invited him to different events, including walks, dinners, and parties. In the spring of 2013, 36-year-old Maribel Ramos graduated from university, was preparing for a new chapter in life, and dreamed of a better job. She was happy, and then she suddenly disappeared. On the morning of May 30, Maribel's sister, Lucy Gonzalez, received a message from KC. He wrote that Maribel had not come home the night before and still had not returned, and that her phone was unavailable. That afternoon, Casey called the police and reported Maribel missing. He told the 911 operator that he had last seen her on the evening of May 2. According to him, Maribel had been at home, he had gone out for a walk, and when he returned an hour later, she was gone. Almost a full day had passed, and she still had not come back. At first, Maribel's family was not overly alarmed by her absence. They knew she was an independent adult woman. She had served in the military for 8 years and was capable of spending a night away from home. But when she failed to show up for her Friday evening softball game on May 30, something that had never happened before, everyone realized something was seriously wrong. The search began. Police officers went to Maribel's home along with Lucy. The rooms were empty, but the lights were on. Everything inside looked neat and orderly. Still, investigators were disturbed by the condition of the bedroom. Later, they found blood on Maribel's gray polka-dot pajamas. Her phone and keys were missing, but her wallet and many personal belongings, including clothing, jewelry, and other essentials, were still inside the apartment. It did not look as though she had packed for a trip. Her car was still parked in the condominium complex. Soon afterward, KC returned to the apartment. Once again, he said he had seen Maribel on the evening of May 2. He appeared concerned and offered to help the police. By then, Maribel's entire family, her friends, and her classmates were actively searching for her. She was well-liked, popular, and respected. Everyone knew her, everyone cared about her, and everyone wanted to find her alive and safe. Investigators found surveillance footage from cameras installed in the condominium complex. The video showed Maribel near the management office on the evening of May 2, dropping off her rent payment. She was wearing casual home clothes and appeared calm, relaxed, and in no hurry. Just a short time later, she was gone. As time passed, police questioned everyone they could in order to collect as much information as possible about the missing woman. One of the first people they spoke to was a man named Paul Lopez, with whom Maribel had recently been involved. They had met only 2 months earlier, and their relationship was still new. Paul worked for a gas company. It turned out that he was the last person known to have spoken with Maribel on the phone before she disappeared. He had called her on Thursday evening just to talk. She was at home at the time. During the conversation, she complained that her roommate had still not paid the rent. Paul could hear KC in the background. Maribel then put the phone on speaker and told KC to pack his things and move out by the next morning. Paul added that if KC did not leave by then, he would come over himself and throw KC's belongings out onto the street. The call ended shortly after that. Paul Lopez spent the entire night at work. His truck had a navigation system that allowed police to verify his movements, and records showed that he was nowhere near Maribel's apartment. During questioning, Paul admitted that he had been intimate with several other women besides Maribel. When police asked whether Maribel had also been seeing anyone else, he said he had never asked her that question. It later emerged that Maribel had indeed been dating more than one man. She had even arranged to meet a military photographer she had met online on May 5, 2013. During the investigation, police also learned that a week before her disappearance, Maribel had made a disturbing call to 911. She sounded frightened. She explained that she had argued with her roommate over unpaid rent and wanted him to move out. She admitted that she had lied about having a gun in her room because she was trying to protect herself and scare him. She said she suffered from post-traumatic stress disorder, that she was locked in her room, and that she was afraid for her life. She gave the man's full name as Kwang Joy. Officers responded to the apartment that evening and spoke with KC. He appeared calm and said that after they had gone out together and had drinks, Maribel became aggressive, insulted him, and threatened him. The officers listened to him and advised him to keep his phone nearby, stay in his room, and lock the door if necessary. Exactly 1 week after that incident, Maribel disappeared. Investigators searched Maribel's apartment, collected her laptop and bedding, took DNA samples from KC, and photographed his body. Fresh scratches were visible on his hands and arms. He appeared very agitated. KC told everyone that he loved Maribel very much, that she was his only family and his best friend, and that she had to come home. Although he and Maribel seemed close and spent a lot of time together, there were many signs that his feelings for her were much deeper than friendship. He knew her family well and had even helped her niece with math. In reality, KC was deeply in love with Maribel, but she did not feel the same way. She thought he was too old for her. She was 36 and he was 54. He was old enough to be her father. He even underwent cosmetic surgery to look younger, reportedly spending around $12,000, but he still was not attractive to Maribel. On the evening of May 3, after calling police, KC behaved suspiciously. At one point, officers wanted to speak with him again, but he was nowhere to be found. Later, he told them that he had been sitting in his car some distance away, watching the front door of the apartment with binoculars. He explained that he often watched crime shows and movies and simply wanted to see what would happen next. He admitted that he and Maribel had argued about rent before she disappeared. According to him, after the argument, he drove around town to cool off. When he came back an hour later, Maribel was gone. He claimed he thought somebody else had taken her. Police also found the fresh scratches on his body suspicious. When investigators asked where they came from, KC said he often went to the park to fish. He claimed that during one recent trip he had accidentally caught a duck in some fishing line, jumped into the water to rescue it, and then injured his hands on thorny bushes when he returned to shore. The search for Maribel continued without success. Police had no clear clue where she had gone. On May 8, 2013, 5 days after her disappearance, her close friend Emily wrote a post on Yelp. Yelp is a website where people usually leave reviews about restaurants, beauty salons, and other businesses. Emily wrote about Maribel there in the hope of drawing more attention to the search. The more people who knew about the case, the better the chances of finding her. Users began responding to the post with support, encouragement, and hopes that Maribel would be found soon. A few days later, KC left a comment under that post. He wrote, "I am Maribel's neighbor. She is my best friend and my only family. She is the best woman I have ever met. We had so much fun together. I miss her very much. She always knew I would give my life for her without hesitation." He went on to complain that police had searched the apartment, seized his computer, hard drive, phone, and car, and questioned people on his contact list. He said the entire situation was unpleasant, but that none of it mattered because he missed Maribel and was depressed and stressed. The next day, a user named Grant responded and pointed out that it was strange KC had referred to Maribel in the past tense. KC replied by thanking him for correcting his grammar and saying that English was his second language. He begged people not to judge him or make assumptions. A day later, KC commented again, saying that he loved Maribel and always wished her good night. He explained that he had used a photo of the two of them as his profile picture because he missed her. He also said he felt uncomfortable that police viewed him as a suspect and that Maribel's family believed he was guilty. He added that he was suffering the most and made a shocking statement, claiming that Maribel was his sole heir and would receive $250,000 from his life insurance as well as all of his bank savings after his death. Police began watching KC more closely. They prepared for further questioning, tried to pressure him into confessing, and even falsely suggested they had found blood on the bed. KC, however, continued cooperating with investigators. He answered their questions calmly, even without a lawyer present, and insisted he had nothing to hide. Detectives found nothing clearly incriminating in his apartment, on his phone, or on his computer. Eventually, surveillance teams noticed that KC had visited the library several times and used one of the public computers there. Since police had already seized his own electronic devices, that was his only way to access the internet. Investigators decided to find out what he had been searching for in the library. They monitored his activity as he typed and clicked through websites. First, he logged into library services and checked his emails. Then he spent some time looking at job listings. After that, he opened a map of California and searched for a remote wooded area. He zoomed in closely on a particular section of land near a large tree by the road. He also searched how long it takes for a human body to decompose. When he was done, he deleted his browser history, shut down the computer, and went home. Investigators immediately went to the remote area he had searched. There, they noticed a foul odor. Not long afterward, they found the body of 36-year-old Maribel Ramos. Kwang KC Joy was charged with murder. When police arrested him, they found one of Maribel's military dog tags in his pocket. He pleaded not guilty. The trial began in 2014. Because Maribel's body had decomposed severely after lying outdoors in a shallow grave for around 2 weeks, the exact cause of death could not be determined. She was identified by a tattoo. There was no direct evidence proving exactly how KC killed Maribel. However, his library computer searches led police to the precise area where her body was found. Prosecutors believed that he attacked her late at night after she went to bed, covered her face with a pillow, and held it there until she died. They believed he then transported her body to a remote canyon area and buried her in a shallow grave. Investigators also believed that some of the scratches on his body were caused while disposing of the body in rough terrain. According to the prosecution, he had planned the crime carefully and took steps to avoid being caught on camera. In court, Casey continued to deny responsibility. He even claimed that the real killer had remotely hacked the library computer, opened the map, moved the cursor to the burial site, and framed him. Despite his repeated denials and endless excuses, the jury found him guilty of second-degree murder. He was sentenced to 15 years to life in prison. Maribel's family was devastated by the loss of their beloved daughter, sister, and friend. According to her relatives, KC was a cruel and cowardly man, and they would never be able to forgive him. Over the years, he reportedly wrote around 90 letters to the judge, each time professing his love for Maribel and insisting on his innocence. He wants to be fully acquitted. Otherwise, he may spend the rest of his life behind bars. Thanks for watching, and take care.